Hello and welcome back to my channel. In the previous video, we saw how to get files from Google Drive in Studio Web, and then we also saw how to classify the documents using generative AI. Now we'll start customizing the extractor of document understanding. So for that, we have an activity called extract document data in Studio Web. It will take a project and then it will take input file, then it will give you the extracted data from that file. Let's quickly go to Studio Web. So until here we classified and then we printed the document type. It was either invoice or payslip. So now we have for invoice we need to add a separate extract document data, and then for payslip we need to add a separate extract document. So if we can do it in two ways, we can use a if condition. So I can also use a switch condition to just make it more flexible. If you have more types, you can just add a more one more case in the middle instead of writing nested if conditions. So I'm just taking a switch activity. So switch activity, it works similarly the way it works in UiPath Studio. So we just give the expression here, and then whatever it results. For example, if you keep name, and then if name holds A, then you need to add a case A here, and then it will go to case A. If the result of the name is not available as a case name in the switch, it will go to default section. It works in a similar way. So within the switch case, I have to decide on the name. For example, if it is invoice, then it has to go to case invoice. So just copying whatever I did in the log message. So here I've used some string formattings. So it might result like this. So I just need the invoice name. So it is simple. You can just go to classify document data, and then type name. So this will result the name. So firstly, we have to add invoice. It should match with the key that we created in the above. So for example, in the classify document, for prompt we gave invoice, right? So if it is a general invoice of a company, then it will result invoice. If it is a general company payslip, then it will result payslip. So we need to use this as the classified document activity. It will give the key as a result. So we need to use that key in the switch case, and then based on the key we have to choose the case. So first key is invoice, so I'm creating a separate case for invoice. So here I'm using extract document data. Then same as classifier, we am selecting predefined, then the extract. So there are multiple number of extractors now in the extract document data. So there are some predefined. We can use for invoice. We have to use invoice extractor. So I'm keeping it invoice, and then input file should be the current file. Show additional options. Now, since we are going to have multiple number of extract document data activities. So for example, we created one for invoice, and then we are going to create one for payslip. So that's why, to make it more clear, we are adding a new variable. So save it as a variable, and then name it as extract data inv, which is invoice. Create. Then if we go to data manager, you see extract data inv of document data type. It's created. So after extract document data, we need to create a task for user for validating this extracted data. So for that, we can use two activities. First one is create validation task and then wait, and then creating a validation task. So the difference is the validation wait task and wait. This will wait until the user responds for that action item. Create validation task will just create the task and then it will continue for the next item. So validation task and wait will not work here if you select this. So if you see here, it says for each as the activity requires persistence. So indeed for each we can't use create validation task and wait. So we have to use create validation task. So that at the end we can get the task data from action items, and then we can save it in the Excel. Create validation task. Here we give the input of the extracted information, the one which we created here, extracted data env. We pass that to here, and then we name it. Just name it check extraction results. Then I'm leaving it as it is. It is going to create a, if there is no catalog called default DU actions, it will going to create and then keep it there. It's just a catalog name, and the output will be the validation task. So similarly, so now we created one format. So for invoice type, we extracted the data, then we passed to a task, and then this will be creating as an action item in the action center. So similarly, we have to create the same for payslip. Name it as payslip, and then just like how we used extract document data, I have to use that here. Predefined. And then now we have to select payslip. Input file will be the same for each entry item. Then here, just like how we created a new variable there, we'll create a new variable. Name it as extract data payslip. And if you see here, it created two variables now. So now the information related to invoice will be in this. Related to payslip, we'll have in this variable. So now similarly, again, we create our addition task. We use extracted payslip variable. Name it same. Check extracted fields. And these remain same. So now, if document type is invoice, it will go to this first case, and then it will create a, it will extract the data and will create an action item. Similarly for payslip. Now let's run the bot. So it ran and then it created the action items. So let's go to Action Center. And you see two action items unassigned. So the user can assign these unassigned ones to themselves, or else if you want, you can check. I mean, under Action Center, we can assign the task to specific persons, and then they can work on it. So I'm just assigning it to myself for these two. So a minute ago, and then if 5 seconds ago. So just keep this. So this was the invoice, and then it extracted all this information. And then if we go to payslip, so if you see for payslip, it extracted the pay period and then the information, the company information, address, and then employee name, designation, and so on. This is how you use generative AI during the classification and extraction of the data from the invoices or payslips or any type of document. So the end, at the end, we can get those task items again, and then we can export that into Excel, or else you can directly use that extracted data variables, and then you can save the result in Excel. So that is your wish. That's simple. You can do it in Studio Web. That's all for today. If you have any feedbacks, ping in the comment section, and then see you in next video. Thank you and happy automation.